Hey eyes and shine, my friends and colleagues, and welcome to another episode of the I Give a Damn podcast, brought to you by Fluorescene Media, the same company behind ODs on Facebook. Today, we are joined by Dr. Janelle Davison. She has over 17 years of private practice experience and numerous accolades, and with that, Dr. Davison has seen some tremendous success in the field of eye care. Today's discussion sheds some light on just a few of those successes, including inventing a new optical software tool for eye clinics, followed by how she built out a niche of ocular aesthetics and dry eye for her clinic, which I personally think is showing to be a rather unique and potent combination, and we even touch on her true passion, which is philanthropy work. So, if you have ever dreamed of owning your own private practice and niching down, inventing a new product, or even just giving back to the community and the profession as a whole, then please hit those like and subscribe buttons and join us in this discussion with Dr. Janelle Davison. Well, thank you, Janelle, for coming to the podcast. This is, again, always a huge honor with every guest, and I just appreciate you for taking your time out of your day to share your story with us, your passions, and just the insights you have in optometry, your career path, and all that you've done and accomplished. This means a lot, so thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.
With for all of our viewers, listeners who haven't had the pleasure of either hearing you speak or seeing some of the either publications or things that you've done, can you give us some of your backstory? First, kind of how you even found optometry, what direction you chose after school, and kind of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so I'm a Michigander. I'm originally from Michigan, so flat land and grass and snow. And so I left home at 18 for college, so I went south. So I went to school in New Orleans. I went to Xavier University, which is a small, historically black college that is Catholic. So I wanted to go somewhere where it wasn't a lot of students, that class sizes would be small, and then New Orleans is fun. And so from there, I actually kind of grew my passion for optometry, because originally I wanted to be a pediatrician. Xavier University is known for putting doctors of color into various allied health professional programs, medical school. It's actually #1 in the country. And so I knew I wanted to be a doctor, but at some point when all those science classes, I was like, wow, how many more years do I have of this? And so I went home that summer and I was talking to my optometrist because I wore glasses. I was a myope. And I was talking to her. Of course, she's like, how's it going? I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of not sure what I want to do. And she goes, why don't you think about optometry? A light bulb went off, and I was like, you know what? I never thought about it. I come see you every year. I wear glasses. I wear contacts. Never thought about optometry. She said it's a great field for all the things that you're looking to do. You want to be a doctor. You don't want to commit to another 12 to 14 years plus college. You want to have a family. She was like, you can own your own business. You can teach. There's so much you can do. And so I was like, wow, okay. So I went back, and we had something that's called a pre-med center, which had a lot of resources. And so I went and found a mentor. And I called her up and asked her, and I said, hey, I'm interested in optometry. Can I shadow? And when I met her, she was doing all the things. She had her own practice. She was an adjunct professor at the school that the college that she graduated from, optometry school. She was married. She was pregnant with, I think, triplets. And I was like, wow. I was like, everything that I want to still be able to do and be a doctor, you're literally doing it. And so after that, I was like, sold. I want to be an optometrist, And so then I really started to realize how impactful and how valuable the eyes are, and how they're like a critical part of our bodies, and everything kind of, not on the island like a lot of our patients think that they're there on their own. They just work in a very beautiful synergistic relationship with our body. And so I ended up at PCO, Pennsylvania College of Optometry, or SALIS now. And then from there, I matriculated to Georgia. I always thought I was going to go back home, but I met my husband in between, and he is originally from Georgia. I met him in Michigan, because he went to Georgia Tech. He's working for one of the big 3 car companies, but he is not a cold baby. He could not handle the winters. First winter there, he called and asked GM if they were going to close down. And they're like, no, sir. Put on your winter coat and come to work. And so, he relocated back home. And once I graduated, I ended up moving to Georgia. Did a lot of my rotations there. So I did one at Ocular Disease Referral Center. I did one in a VA in Augusta, Georgia. And then right afterwards, we got married, and I moved down to Georgia like a week after I graduated. And so that's where I've been ever since. And then about I've been in Georgia since 2007, and around 2010, I opened my own practice, cold. I always wanted to own a private practice. I thought I was going to do a little bit later once I got out of school, but I was working in a corporate setting that actually got laid off, which is surprising. That's when I really realized, like, a doctor could get laid off, but it was during, like, the economic downturn, like when the housing market crashed, and that propelled me to open my practice sooner. I did some fill-in work as a relief doctor for a while in the Atlanta area. And I got to practice in various different settings, so private and corporate in different parts of Atlanta. And it actually was very lucrative because a lot of doctors weren't filling that role as a relief doctor. So a lot of my private doctors needed a day off, and I would fill in maternity leaves. And then from there, I just opened my own practice, cold. And we've been going strong since 2010.
Congrats.
And I know.
Awesome.
It's like I survived the housing market crash, wheels turning, pandemic.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of the pandemic, I actually moved my practice closer into the city because I was still a little bit more north. And so it opened up a whole new patient base for me. And then I'm excited. I'm actually going to be adding a second location in January. So here I am.
Amazing, and congrats on that. You're literally living the dream that so many doctors have either aspired to have or kind of dream of as they're maybe being students right now. So
yeah, I mean, I do. It's work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, you have tough skin, but it is a dream that can become reality. So it's definitely doable, but I don't like to make people think it's easy. You have to have tough skin, a great network, and just always have a vision. You know, sometimes it take you a minute to that vision to come to light, but it's definitely doable.
I'm curious, and I love asking this to all private practice owners or just entrepreneurs, like what drove you? How did you know you wanted to even open up your own practice? How did you know that would be a path that you wanted?
That's good because, you know, I always knew in optometry school and entrepreneurship wasn't big in my family. I don't know. I just think it was something that was kind of innate. I think with my optometrist, because she worked in a clinic, and when she mentioned you can own your own business, you know, that kind of resonated with me. And I'm like, yeah, you know, that's something that I definitely want to do. First in the family, and I own a business. I was the first in the family to become a doctor, not the first in the family to go to college, but to go beyond college to that secondary degree. And then my sister followed behind. She's a dentist, and she has her own practice, her and her husband. And so I'm not sure. It's a great question, but I just think it might have been just innate. And then, like I said, a great support system like my husband. He said he always knew he wanted to own a business, but he didn't really have a path to it till he met me. And so he's partnering all of my ventures. But he said he knew he always wanted to be in entrepreneurship, but he was like, I didn't really have a way, you know, as an engineer, what am I going to do? And he's like, you know, I met you, and I'm like, oh, wow, you know, we could combine this, you know. Right. And so he's heavily involved in all of our business ventures.
And I know one major thing that you guys have done together is you guys created kind of a tool for optical business side of things.
So it's called PARADEYEM Optical Solutions, and it's a tool to help on the optical side. You know, I do a lot on the medical space, but in reality, the optical side, if you own an optical, it's going to be a big driver in the practice. It still constitutes about anywhere from about 50 to 60% of the revenue. It contributes heavily to the patient revenue per patient. And so I hit a point back in maybe 2017, 2018, you know, staff turnovers, the staff you have, calculation errors. I mean, the math is not hard, but the language is very difficult. A lot of these insurance plans is different from VSP to IMED to Spectera. You know, you have to be able to think quickly and then do math quickly. And then also I wanted a way to make the buying experience easy for the patient. Pretty much now everywhere you shop in a retail setting, things are bundled or packaged. You get this for that value. And eye care was still like, oh, let's start with this base lens and then compile on top into the patient. It's kind of like, whoa, where is this coming from?
Right.
And so
they feel like they're being upsold. And they get anxiety about it. They feel like they're getting scammed somehow. Yeah, and I can't see what's in this value, that value. And so I was able to combine all of those three different aspects into the software. And it started off as a Excel spreadsheet that I did in the office. I went to my husband, who is an engineer, but he has an IT background as well. He was working in corporate America. And I said, I know this is possible. I need you to help me figure this out, you know. Help me figure this out. And so he, you know, came up with an Excel sheet. He looked at all the different various insurance plans and calculated all the ways that you could come up with charges. which is crazy. So we've done the legwork because our calculations work. There are other things on the market that
is not as reliable, but we did the legwork, and we continue the legwork as things change. And then it went from an Excel sheet because a staff member, we hired an optician, and she said, Dr. Davison, like, this is gold. You need to do something with this. You need to figure out how to commercialize this. And so, because we were just using it in our office, and we saw the change in the reduction in calculation of errors, the efficiency, the increase in revenue by packaging things. And so that's when we took the next step to figure out how do we turn this Excel sheet, how to partner with people to help with the coding, with the help with the interface. And then we had PARADEYEM, and we were still using it in our office with the nice interface, the coding. And then we took the leap in like 2019 to commercialize it. And then we actually won an award in 2022 with Eyes on Eye Care, the first innovation award competition they had. They had like 30 different people submit between US and Canada. We won the grand prize.
Congratulations. That is, it's inspiring to hear those sort of stories, because I think most people, when they have this great idea, this great product, it is because they notice there's a problem here. This doesn't work well. We have to fix it. Let's, pull up our bootstraps and let's do it. And you guys put in that work. And then once you you tested it, you figured out, no, this is resulting in great benefits for our clinic. And certainly I bet that passes on to the patient too.
Yes, definitely.
Less confusion, less, problems with money and finances and all of that. So, and then now you're passing on this great product that's helping others.
Yeah.
So bravo to you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And so you and your husband have partnered with that project. Does he involve with other parts of the business?
Yeah, and so he was always kind of the back part of the vision center itself. But in 2020, he actually left corporate America of 20 years, and he was responsible for running huge projects, $1 million projects. And, corporate America is tough, and he wasn't happy. It was COVID. Kids were at home, and it was just like a crazy time. But it was a time that he decided, why don't I bring those skills to our current family business to help build a legacy even further. So he actually works now like 100% in the practice with help with all the buying side of the optical. He serves as the general manager for the office. Because he's an engineer, he learned how to edge. He pretty much could do everything on the optical side. And then, like I said, we're going to be starting a second location that's going to be more medical based, but it helps me to be able to venture out more and do other things because I know I have somebody that is going to help make sure that main office is still running.
So with the second business, you said it's going to be a little bit more medical side. I know that you're pretty heavily in the dry eye space. Like, how did you find yourself even interested and passionate about things like dry eye and aesthetics? Because that's another kind of a focus for you.
And so I've always treated dry eye. I think as optometrists, we always treat it, since like 2017, 16. But I kind of wanted to find a focus for my practice, something that brought me passion outside of, diabetes and glaucoma. But a lot of times those are things that were kind of depressing. And those patients, which is crazy, they have the biggest risk for sight loss, but they're some of the least compliant patients. And then I would have those few dry eye patients that would come in, and sometimes at the time we only had topical medications, but just writing that prescription. And they're like, oh, I could get back in my contacts, I could wear my makeup again, and it started to bring satisfaction. So I was like, how can I dig deeper and make this a part of my practice? And then, dry eye suffer myself, it just was a natural fit. And so as dry eye evolved, as the different diagnostic technology came about, the prescribing technology, I just followed and I just made it a part of my practice. And so right now it makes up a good portion of my practice to enough where it makes it hard to do some of my primary care. I think that's where a lot of the doctors fall. Like, how do you fit this into primary care, And so that's becoming more of a juggle. The more I get referrals, the more patients are finding me to mix that into my everyday primary care setting, especially being a solo OD. And so the practice that I'm starting is going to be ocular surface disease focused, dry eye in a medical complex, a suite all on its own that's only going to be towards dry eye, ocular aesthetics, and things like that.
Do you have like a specific favorite treatments, or what kind of services do you offer? Do you really enjoy and find benefit with?
I think it's not one thing.
Yeah,
I have pretty much I offer every option depending on the patient. What makes, because my dry eye practice unique is that I try to customize what I'm doing and try not to be so cookie cutter. And so I listen to the patient. I'm big on getting a full evaluation. I need to have everything in front of me. And based on that, especially if you're a referral or if you've been being treated but not getting the results that you want, what is something that's being missing? Listening to the patient, because sometimes we get so caught up in the technology, all the things that are out there, and we just want to, I want to do this, I just want to do IPL on you, I just want to do this. But that may not be what the patient needs or the only thing that they need. And so I like to have all the tools that I need at my disposal so that way I can set up customized treatment plans. And so I pretty much use everything, but I think one of my favorites, and I think a lot of favorites, is intense post-light therapy because it addresses so many things at once, and sometimes it's the final thing that patient may have been missing that gets them over the hump to get them back into contact lenses regularly, wear their makeup regularly. Because patients, they come in and they have specific goals. And I ask them, so we get so caught up in like, write this script, do this, do that. But what is your goal? If the goal is simply, I want to get in contacts for extracurricular activities and be able to wear them for 5 hours, I need to be able to achieve that goal. Because if I don't, I'm not addressing the patient's need. Yeah. And so that's how I really focus my dry eye practice. And I have patients that are like in tears because all I'm saying is we're going to do A, B, C, D. And they was like, I have a plan. I never had a plan before.
Right.
And so like literally the day I left, a lady was crying because they drive. She had drove to like these other specialists in other areas. And all I did was listen, heard her journey, her story, and I came up with a plan and I physically gave her the plan. And she said, I never had a plan before. So
that is a huge, I hope other practitioners who are listening to this and have never thought of it that way, that they pick that up from you. Because I think I've had that with patients who are like, this is the first time I had like a coach or a leader in my corner to help guide them through this process. Because it's not like there's no silver bullet to cure anything with dry eye. There is no cure, right?
So that's my like social media tagline, the dry eye mentor. I help you, I mentor you through the process. And so patients have to understand it's a process. We're learning so much. What I know now, I didn't necessarily know 5, 6, 10 years ago. And 10 years from now, there's going to be so much data and research, and my ability to treat you is going to be so much greater. And so I think understanding that it's a process and that they have somebody in their corner versus just a lot of scripting, a lot of treatment. And so that's where I don't want to get caught up in, because there's so much technology out. And some of the technology are great practice revenue generators. And I just still want to make sure that I'm addressing that patient need, because I think that's what keeps me unique, and that keeps people driving to see me from all over.
And the goal setting is a great component. I think it's almost like you can take it a little bit from our little bit of experience in like low vision, right?
Yeah.
If a patient wants this, all they want to do is be able to read again.
Yeah.
Because I think it's unrealistic for a lot of our dry eye patients to never have to use eye drops again. That's not realistic. But if we can get you from having to rely on 2-3 medications and having to put in lubrication eye drops 4 times a day, if we can get you to just having to use our
something twice a day,
or just being able to put their contacts in, like you said,
we're winning.
Yeah, like that's
that's what I impress upon them, that the goal setting, because I think I did low vision. I did a lot of low vision. One of my rotations was a VA that was in a low vision rehab unit. So I think some of that methodology, some of that thinking is kind of what I bring through in my dry eye treatment is goal setting. Because if we miss the patient's goal, then they go to the next doctor, and then, and I've had them go to 3-4 different doctors, and it's like sometimes what is the patient's goal?
With the realm of certainly dry eye, there's a lot of talk with aesthetics now, and you have some experience with that, because it kind of goes a little bit hand in hand to some degree.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear more of how you started dabbling in that. What even motivated you to kind of go that direction?
So the aesthetics is just a natural extension of dry eye. A lot of the goals are going to be with patients that they notice that when their eyes are dry and they flame, they're more aware of dark circles, bags, wrinkles, redness. They can't wear their makeup. And so as you start to dig deep into dry eye, those questions are to come up next. Well, when would I be able to get back into makeup? What makeup should I wear and should not wear? doc, can I do lashes or lash extensions? Well, if you're going to be treated in this area, is there anything you can do about these other areas? So it's a pretty smooth transition, natural extension from digging deep into dry eye. And, luckily, a lot of our treatments that we have, they offer these aesthetic benefits. I always press upon doctors that you really have to know your state laws. We really have to, every state is different. So a lot of states, almost like 40 out of 50 states can do IPL, but some of the indications are a little bit different.
Sure.
So my state is one where I do aesthetics, but that can't be my leading reason why I'm treating that patient. And so pretty much all of our heat therapy based, light based treatments are going to produce those aesthetic benefits with collagen rejuvenation. So I kind of lead into a patient and say, hey, this is what we're treating. But as a side effect, you may notice that your skin is looking tighter. Some of your wrinkles are reduced. A lot of your colleagues and friends, which they have, what are you doing? Are you getting work done? And you're telling them, well, it's my dry eye. She's treating my dry eye. So it's an easy extension, and it's a easier extension if you're one of those states where you can actively promote that you're doing it from the aesthetic standpoint versus, leading from the disease state.
Beyond just like IPL therapy, what kind of other kind of aesthetics things are you bringing in, or makeup products perhaps? I don't have that much experience with the makeup world. I know there's a few different brands.
Yeah, and so I'm actually wearing the brand now. Like I said, I have dry eye. And so I use 2020 Beauty is one that I use that was actually founded and formulated by a female ophthalmologist who's practicing cataract surgeon, and she does a lot of dry eye. The premise and base of all her products is that they're natural. And so you're going to get more of your castor oils, your argan oils, your lavender oils. And those things resonate with a lot of patients, especially women, more your natural-based therapies. So they have a lash serum, mascara, creamy eyeshadow to remove from powder-based or glitter-based, because those go into the tear film. Think about that,
We see it floating on the tear film.
Exactly. Or pressed powder, you're like, oh, you got makeup on today. So creamy eyeshadows reduce that, and then they actually look good. So I use all of her things. Eyes Are the Story is one that we bring in as well, with liner and mascaras and eye washes. And then also there are other optometry-friendly medical-grade skincare lines that you could bring in as well, especially if you're doing a lot of your heat-based and light-based therapies. They are causing or enhancing the skin. You want to make sure the patient knows what to do at home. A lot of patients don't have a regular skin regimen that is safe for patients that have sensitive eyes, because we know everything that we use around that periorbital tissue, that's the thinnest skin, and it can get right into those glands and kind of offset some of the treatments that you're doing, which is important because some of these treatments are expensive. And if they're going home and using God knows what on their face and their eyes, then that explains why they're spending this money, but they're not getting the outcomes. And a lot of those will let you bring them right into the office and be able to dispense them out of the office. So one I have is called Epiance. It's botanical based. What else do I have? Ocular is another good one. That one's actually more natural based. A lot of oatmeal products. It's actually formulated by an oculoplastic specialist that has his own vitamin shop out of Florida. So he does a lot of other things that are, he has supplements, and this is the secondary division that he has, where it's skincare that is safe for patients who have sensitive eyes and ocular surface disease. So there's a gamut of things out there to start with that you could bring into the practice that are optometry friendly. Patients love it because they're going to ask you, when you can say you could go buy it right on the optical, and I have it right out there with my glasses and my sunglasses. And then a lot of them have affiliate programs where if you don't want to stock things, that's perfectly fine, where you could direct them to websites and you actually get sometimes a commission when the patient goes and purchase.
Do you ever get pushback or perhaps do any of your patients who come in and you do all these treatments, do they ever seem no, I'm just going to stick with my whatever brand or whatnot?
Sometimes they do, but they understand the importance of, they don't want to go back. Especially you get them to a point where they're back in their contacts. They are able to, one patient told me, play a tennis match and drive home from the match and not think about his eyes for 3-4 hours straight. They don't want to go back. And so when you mention those things, I give packets out. So once they're diagnosed, I give them a packet with their treatment plan, what to expect, and then I also have information about makeup, cosmetics. After I do my treatments, I have take-home kits that a lot of these companies will give you, and you can make your own kits. And so not as much. Now, some people with their mascara, they're really particular about volume. And it's like, okay, if we're going to use this set mascara, then we need to at least talk about making sure we're throwing it away in time, not sharing it with our family members and friends to reduce contamination. A little bit of pushback, but not a lot, believe it or not, because patients don't want to go back to what things previously used to be.
Yeah. So thank you for just sharing those, because I some of those names I've heard of 2020 and Eyes of the Story. But a lot of those other products I've never heard of.
Yeah.
So I think there is going to be a lot more attention, and I think a lot of doctors are going to appreciate just knowing some more of this world. Because I know in the world of cosmetics, it can be dizzying in terms of what different ingredients, different products, sensitive skins. Just because it says it's for sensitive skin doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be for...
doctor tested or approved. Some of those are buzzwords. And so it's a space that is large. We are really just now getting to the infancy stages of makeup and ingredients and preservatives. We need preservatives in makeup because most of the makeup is contaminated already. And so how much, what's good, what's bad? And so I just think starting the conversation helps, because patients, they want to know, and they're asking people, they're asking their friends, and they're in these Facebook groups. So you do want to kind of be involved in the conversation at some point.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on things like under eye bag creams and like eyelash extensions?
Oh, God. Eyelash extensions, they're not going anywhere. I was hoping that it was a fad that would pass. I mean, at one point, I think in like 2018, 2019, it became really big in the Atlanta area, and I actually hired a lash artist that was in my office doing lash extensions, and she was up into COVID. Once COVID, all that hit, she just wasn't comfortable. But my thing was, they're going to do it, which they are. And so, why not be kind of involved in the process and make sure it's vetted? My lash artist was very, very savvy. She was very good about identifying Demodex. She understood the importance of that relationship with their eye care provider. If she saw something she wouldn't put lashes on, she would send them to me first. But it's not going anywhere. I definitely encourage eye care providers, if they know lash artists are in their area, most of them are open. They're seeing these things under their little loops when they're doing it. Just let them know, hey, if you see this, send the patient over to me. Or this is what you should recommend to cleanse, because a lot of lash artists are giving their lash cleansers, but they're not vetted things. They're things they're making up themselves. And so I look under the microscope. I tell patients, I see you wearing lash extensions. Are you cleaning them? What are you cleaning them with? I have the conversation, and I tell them what to use, how often they should get fills. And so it's a thing that's going to happen. We need to kind of know. I don't think the answer is to say don't do it, because what happens, they just won't come to you, or they'll be behind closed doors doing things. I think it's to acknowledge it. I see you wear these. This is what I recommend to clean your lashes. And then even talk about how often they should get fills and the importance of taking breaks. Those things are important.
What do you recommend for cleaning eyelash extensions?
Yeah, right now I recommend We Love Eyes.
Yeah.
That has an eyelash extension shampoo. And I tell patients, most patients think there's like this little eyelash spoolie, and they think that's cleaning, and it's not. They need to get foam on there, and We Love Eyes has the actual, and they need to get in there, and they're like, they need to clean, right? And they need to prepare that they're going to lose a few lashes, which is fine, because they should be regularly getting them filled. And then you go in, you just kind of fluff them. But most patients, if they want to wear them, they feel good when you look underneath and say, oh, your lashes look great. I can tell you're cleaning them. I can tell you're using a good product to clean them with.
I think this is a brilliant idea, even from a marketing standpoint, to make connections with your local who's doing these, because then, you can educate them on what these things are that they're seeing, what's important, and to send them your way. But also to kind of have that crosstalk of like, how can we better support even them? It's like we can continue to tell them how often you need to be seen and get them retouched up, and then I think that's an interesting thing. I've never thought of that.
And I mean, and they're receptive. They're very receptive, and that they know, because like lash, it must be lucrative, because there's a lash artist that has a suite in my retail shopping place, and that's all she does is lashes. And I'm like, this is clearly a business that is not going anywhere. And so when they moved in, I reached out, say, hey, Vision Center. I don't talk down. I just say, look, this is the resources I have. If you have any questions, I'm here. And so I think it's important to have those dialogues, because as of right now, false lashes are not going anywhere.
No. So with building the aesthetics thing, you've seen really good success with it, and it's growing?
Yeah. I mean, I've been actively in that space since like 2018, 2019. I converted my office, my first location. I had this huge office, and I converted that to a spa within my office. And the way that happened was because I had a dry eye patient. Her goal was to get back into her makeup. And then she had a question. That's when the lash thing just kind of really boomed in like 2018, 2019. Yeah. She goes, she was thinking, like, instead of touching around my eye every day, would it make sense to get lash extensions? So some patients thinking, like, what could I do less? Is that better? And so we had a conversation, and she goes, well, where should I go? And I'm like, I don't know. And then she goes, why don't you offer those services? Why don't you sell makeup? Why don't you have a lash artist that you could send me to? And I didn't have an answer, because there was nothing in the books that said I couldn't do that. There was nothing in the books that said I couldn't sell makeup. I mean, if CVS can do it, then why can't the eye care provider? There's nothing in the books that say you can't even sell lashes in your office, because you can at least regulate the glue and the lash they want to use, the strip lashes. Sure. There's nothing that says you can't do any of that, and patients are going to do it, and they trust you. And that's what she said. Anything that you have in here, I trust that you vetted it. And so that just got my wheels going. And so I was like, where could I put a spa? I had this huge office that I'm like, I'm hardly in here because I'm seeing patients. Converted that. When I'm relocating my office, I had a dedicated area. That's grown to the point now where I'm having a whole 1,500 square foot suite that is just dry eye, aesthetics, ocular surface disease, because I'm getting more referrals, and I don't want to because I don't want to cut so many exam spots out for primary care. So now it's forcing me to think beyond. I'm hiring a doctor, take over the primary care there. And so it's pushing me to think beyond just what I was the last few years ago.
Well, I'm so happy for you. I love hearing success stories like that, and you brim with excitement when you talk about it. And I think that just shows how passionate you are about delivering such good care and finding answers for your patients. Beyond just your work in the clinic, you also do some philanthropy work.
Yes, that's my true passion. So my philanthropy work is with high school students. I've been doing it now since I opened, really. I started off as a work-based learning site with the county. And so there's different schools in the county that I live in and that my practice in. It's called Cobb County. And they allow students at a certain, usually seniors and juniors, to go out into the community and intern at different jobs, locations. And my first practice was up the street from a high school that had this program. The teacher over the program came in and said, would you be interested in having a high school student come in? Because believe it or not, a lot of people don't want students in their office to be an intern for a semester. And what it does, it expose them. They had a specific healthcare division. So I was like, sure. Sure, exposure into them. I'm thinking this is a resource, a resource, a dedicated amount of time every day for a whole semester. And it just grew from there. From that program alone, over the last 8-9 years, I've had like 40 different students come through my office, and I really got a joy out of the program. And then I said, how can I make this for other students who aren't necessarily in this county? And that's how I developed S.C.O.R.E, which is a nonprofit that my sister and I developed. Like I said, I mentioned before, she's a dentist. And so we wanted to be able to expose students, particularly women of color, to optometry, dentistry. A lot of people have a wide range of medical school, but these are these allied health professions that are dynamic. And so we allow them to come in as interns during the summer, and I still kind of mesh that with the work-based learning program, and went from that I sit on the board for Cobb County with the work-based learning, healthcare advisory. And so my biggest success story is that I have a student who I met as a junior in high school, interning. I always make them do an interview, even though they're going to get it, because they have to do it for a grade, bring a resume. And she used to want to be an oncologist. And I was like, wow, that's deep. You want to be an oncologist? And usually when students say something like that, it's what's going on. Her mom had cancer. And, interning through the office, she developed a passion for optometry. And they have every year a CTA, which is a Career Technology, Agriculture, and Engineering Work-Based Learning Award. And so she put down how the value and what she learned from this office and how I impacted her. And she actually won that award.
Wow.
And I got to be there. They invited me there. And at the award, she did like a message that said, because of me, she wanted to now be an optometrist. So she went on to undergrad at Mercer, and now she is a first-year student at UMSL in St. Louis. So she is in optometry school. So I've known her since a junior in high school, through that program, all the way through. And so she's like my little sister. And I have another student now who is at UGA who wants to be an optometrist. So out of the 40 plus, there's 2, but just exposing students to the world of optometry and dentistry is my true passion.
Well, thank you for doing that, and shout out to certainly you for that success, but also to your student who's now in school.
I know, she's in school.
Hopefully they hear this episode and get to hear what a great impact it's been. That's fantastic. Do you guys have future plans? Just going to continue doing that, or do you ever hope to do more philanthropy work in that sense?
And so right now, that's with all the hats that I juggle, that's where I am right now. Who knows where the future would take me? But I always tell people I'm a mom. I have a 14-year-old and 11-year-old as well. So my hats are big, and I wear a lot of them. But right now, what I do, it fits right well into that because my kids know, because they're high school students, so they get to meet the interns. And so I actually have an intern right now. So almost every semester I get a different intern. And then over the summer is my nonprofit. We do it during the summer.
That's amazing. So what else in optometry would you say is kind of it sounds like that really is your passion, the philanthropy side of thing. That really makes you really happy and proud of what you do.
It makes, I'm not old, but creating legacy. I mean, I don't want to be known for an optometrist. It's great. That's my job. I'm good at it. But I want to be known for how I impacted the world, and, my students, and just knowing that there are kids out there now in college that even if they don't want to be optometrists, they know me from that, that they have a resource that they can reach out to ask about questions for classes, or if they're having a hard time. So, I want to be known for the impact that I made on the lives of others, outside of giving them great vision and making their eyes comfortable again.
Well, clearly you give a damn about what you do, and you give a damn about the patients you serve and everything like that. With one of my favorite questions that I love asking people now on the podcast is, if you were somehow elected tomorrow to be kind of the Surgeon General or the leader of optometry for the world, if you could snap your fingers and make one big change, or you had a year to work on something to make optometry better, whether it be something in the profession or something you wish for the world to know about optometry, what would it be?
I think optometry is great. I just think we're not good about telling everybody else how great we are. I think we need to do an overhaul on our patient awareness campaigns. Dentistry has done an amazing job of instilling the importance of getting regular dental exams. But in reality, you can do a lot with no teeth. You can't do many things if you can't see. Your life is severely impacted. I can't replace those. My sister's big on veneers. She can give you a whole new mouth. And so I think we need to really think about our strategy and really convey to the public the importance of an eye exam, the importance of how these two little things have a beautiful synergistic relationship with your body. They don't sit on the island on their own, and they're valuable. And you want to know they're valuable before they're sick, before you start to realize, I can't see, I can't do this, because a lot of those things I can't bring back, right? So I think if I had to step in, it's just doing a better way of getting the awareness out to the public about the importance of these two little things that sit in your head, of how important they are.
Well, thank you so much, Janelle, for everything that you shared with us today. You definitely, again, give a damn about your profession and everything you do. So thank you for being a guest, and I hope that we get to meet and chat again soon.
Thank you for the invitation.
So that was our discussion for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not done so already, please like, subscribe, and follow the I Give a Damn podcast, either on YouTube or over on your favorite podcasting platform. Same thing if you have any comments, suggestions for topics, or you'd like to nominate a guest to be on the podcast, then please let us know in the comments. Otherwise, again, thank you so much for listening in, and I hope you have a fantastic day.